So walk me through how you can go backwards through the wheel, right? Instead of going vision, journey, culture, results, go results, culture, journey, vision. When would it be appropriate to do that? Like, when is going backwards okay?
Backwards is okay is when you're doing like a retrospective, or you're doing a what do they call it, postmortem, or you're doing an
Okay.
analysis, or you're trying to define as is to build what you're trying to go to. You start with what is it we want, and then you look at the result and say, where are we? Right? That's going vision result. When you're
Okay. So you still start with the vision, but then you go to the result, which is where are we now?
where are we now? What do we have? What are we paying? What is it costing us? What is it? What's not working?
Sure.
In
Whatever the
some
measurables are.
In some degree, in this one, I agree it was go result to culture. In some cases, you need to go result to journey to culture. But in this particular case, that's a different one. In this
Yeah.
particular case, it was a culture analysis because we were talking about who's on and off the bus. So it was,
Right.
let's go down to the culture component and let's assess the culture, like let's just against the core values.
Hmm.
There was, let's just say there were 80% people that passed the core values and 20% that didn't. Okay, we don't need to assess that 20% in the journey phase. Then we went to the journey phase and we said, okay, what are the skill sets? What does a
Right.
pod look like? And then we further groomed the list down. And then,
Hmm.
we were in, let's say we ended up with 20 people that remain and, 80% that need to churn. Now, it doesn't mean they need to churn like day one. It just means over time, they
Right.
could evolve or they'll exit out.
Yeah. But they're probably not a long-term fit. Oh, yeah. So that is interesting that when you're reflecting retrospectives, analysis, kind of looking backwards, or even trying to understand where you are currently, that it is okay to go backwards through the wheel. When would you know that it's not okay? Like, what's the signal that you need to stop going backwards? Because it sounds like they just kind of kept going backwards. What was the sign that they missed that said, now's the time to turn around and go forwards?
All right, so I'm gonna use a horrible analogy. I'm
Why
driving
not?
my
This,
car.
this, that's what we do.
I'm driving my car. I've somehow ended up in a place that I don't know where I'm at, and I pull over on the side of the road and I look over behind me to see where I've been. What if I passed,
Hmm.
right? The problem is when I want to drive forward, I don't keep staring backwards. Like I don't keep looking backwards and drive back onto the road and drive forward, right? Like that's the
Right.
so when you go forward through the wheel, it's when you're actually taking action or applying a plan or moving forward with a project.
Or building a plan though, too,
Building,
right? Like
yeah, building.
even building the plan and then executing the plan would all be forward motion through the wheel.
Otherwise, you're just going from idea to results.
Right.
A lot of times, it negates the journey. You overlap, you miss the journey, the execution, the component, and that's where a lot of people they just I have an idea and I'll do it myself. I have an idea
Hmm.
to do it. Well, why don't you train it? That's going to take too long. I just want to do it. Well, that you're not
Hmm.
thinking through the journey and the culture. You're just going straight to the result. Whereas if you go, I have an idea. All right, why do you have that idea? Because of this result. Okay, is that
Hmm.
a people or process problem? It's a process problem. Okay, let's look at the journey. Okay, do we have to? Okay, let's go back up to vision and then go vision, journey, culture, results.
Yep.
So it's again in that retrospective analysis, reflection, looking in the rearview mirror, all those analogies. That is when you go backwards. The second you're going to make forward progress into the fix or the right direction, you have to about face and go forward through the wheel.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if I've shared this story with you before, but I was sharing this with a room full of there's probably 200-300 people in the room, and was doing a workshop for this organization and was talking about this on the personal basis and asked them to kind of do some analysis or a little bit of vision, journey, culture, results, thinking about themselves personally, and asked somebody if they were courageous enough to stand up and share their plan. And I think this was a group of like apartment management. It's an apartment management company. And this one guy stands up and he says, first of all, I thank him for the courage to stand up in front of 300 people of his peers. And he said, my vision is to sell 5 paintings this year. I'm a painter and my vision is to sell 5 paintings. And I was like, love that. Love your courage. Can I challenge you for a second? And he's like, sure. And I said, I bet your vision is to be a successful painter. 5 paintings is simply the result, how you're going to measure whether or not you have been successful. And maybe it's 5 paintings this year, and next year it's 10, and the year after that it's 20. But that's simply the number that you are using to measure the vision. And the vision is, I want to be a successful painter. And it was crazy to watch this guy start to smile when I talked to him about, I don't think it's about the number 5. I think it's about being successful. And he's like, yeah, that's what I want. And I was like, okay, so great thinking. We just got to make sure they're in the right places. So you want to be a successful painter. What's the journey? He's like, well, I need to carve out more time to paint in the evenings and on weekends. I need to sign up for more art shows. I probably need to travel a little bit more, need to set aside some budget so that I can go to more of these art shows and get my stuff seen by more people. I said, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I don't understand this world very well, but that all makes a lot of sense. What about the culture side? Tell me about the emotional journey that you're going to have to go on. And he said, I'm going to have to get a lot more comfortable with rejection. And I was like, wow, like you're so right. If you're going to be a successful painter, you need to do these things, but you also need to be prepared for rejection. And if you do those things, I think you've got a pretty good shot at selling 5 paintings this year. And I loved that interaction because he was clearly a results guy, right? He started with results, but I redirected him, got him to start with vision, walked him through the wheel in the right direction. And I just love his honesty about the emotional side because for me, and I think for a lot of results and vision oriented people, that relational, emotional journey, we just want to skip over that. Like, it's going to be great. I'm going to go to all these trade shows and it's going to be great. People are going to love me. I think we overlook that and oftentimes end up tripping and stumbling over it because it's just easier to do it myself than to engage the team. I'm assuming things go well, and when I get rejected, I get depressed, as opposed to saying, sweet, I got rejected. That's totally what I was expecting to happen. That means I'm on track. That means it's working. And I appreciated that while it was a personal example, I think it applied really, really well to what I've seen in so many organizations that I've worked in, where we kind of have a fuzzy vision. We really care about the results. Maybe we talk about the process, but we just skip over the culture and then either get mad at ourselves or get mad at our team when the results don't show up on or ahead of schedule.
It's yes, and it's funny how that works. Like that was one individual for his own objective, right? Like the
Yeah.
other 299 people in the room, whether he was successful or not, didn't matter. Interesting thing is that same scenario holds true if you've got 100 people in your organization, you got 1,000 people in your organization, you got 10,000 people in the organization. When you expect those results without going through those other two components, like it's just going to be stagnant. Or you can push results, don't get me wrong, but then what you're going to have is you're going to see the stock price drop when it catches up to you, right?
Right. Yeah, you can hammer people long enough to hit results in the short term, but in the long run, you've got to have the processes and the people bought in to the purpose if you're going to hit those profit targets consistently over the coming quarters and years. I think that's one of the challenges that I see with a lot of my clients is they want the result. They're not willing to really spend the time to figure out what the journey's really going to take and the process part. And so that journey to culture transition tends to be the black hole where a lot of projects disappear and die because they've not thought that part through.
So I'm gonna laugh because or you're gonna laugh because of what you just said and the reason why I'm holding this mug. Notice
Okay.
it's I call this the results mug. It kind of looks orange. It's supposed to be candy apple red, but
Uh-huh.
it's the black hole. Intentionally
Yes.
painted the inside black because if you focus on the results, you're not going to get jack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.